Hey everybody, you know, I get asked this in emails all the time, and quite a bit, every time I meet somebody at a show. You know, they're always asking me, how do you choose an arrow that's going to be right for your bow? Do you go strictly off how cool they look? And I seriously get asked this question. Well, I don't ever choose my arrows because they look cool. I usually choose an arrow and then I'll bling it out and make it look cool. For some reason, us archers and us bow hunters always want to have our arrows looking really cool. But there's nothing wrong with that. But the right way to choose an arrow is to go by what the manufacturer suggests. Now, you have to know a few things to get this going. You really need to know what your poundage of your bow is. I like to go with the maximum poundage. That way, if there's ever a chance that I turn my poundage up, I know my arrow is going to be within the boundaries and it's not going to be underspined for the weight that I'm going to increase it to. Number two, you need to know how long your arrow is, not your draw length. You need to take the measurement of your arrow with the bow at full draw, at least 1 inch in front of the arrow rest. Now you can play around with this in order to get that arrow in the weight range that you're looking for. But for most purposes, I like to go about 1 inch in front of the arrow rest. The other thing you need to know is you need to know what type of cam system you've got. Most people know you're shooting Matthew solo cam, you got a solo cam. It's real simple. That's usually considered to be a hard cam, a speed cam, or it may say single cam on the arrow selection chart. All right, and the other thing you need to know is really not anything technical. You need to know what your intentions are. You need to know, are you going to be shooting a bow for the speed of it? You want to get that thing cranked up to where it's breaking speed sound records and stuff. Well, you need to follow what the manufacturer suggests on the light end of the arrow in the arrow category. I'm going to show you that in a second. Or if you're going to be hunting something like grizzly bears or African lions, you may want to weighten that arrow up to get the kinetic energy you want for the punch. Personally, I like an arrow that's going to run somewhere in the neighborhood of around 430 grains to 450 grains. That's completely built arrow. You have to also know your weight, the tip of the weight of your tip that you're going to be using, such a broadhead or fill tip. This is all factors that we have to plug in on the arrow selection chart in order to come up with the correctly spined arrow for what we're going to be doing with it. Let's go inside, look at an arrow chart on bowtuningtips.com. I have all the arrow charts posted there for you guys to find. We're going to go in there and pick one out, and we're going to see if I have picked the right arrow for my setup. All right, everybody, here we are at bowtuningtips.com, and some of you guys may not know this, but there's an arrow selection guides available on the website. It's simple to find. You go to the maintenance tips. Okay, when you get to the maintenance tips page, right here at the top there's a link for arrows. Click on that and it'll take you right down to the arrows. And at the top of it there's actually arrow charts that help you select the right size arrows for your setup. And I carry all these arrows in stock in the Bow Tuning Tips store, so we've got a chart for them here. And we're going to go ahead and click on the beaming because that's the type of arrows that I shoot. And as you see, we've got the arrow chart right here. We're going to go ahead and zoom in on that by clicking on it so we can read what's going on here. All right, now we're going to be checking this out and selecting the size arrows that I shoot on my bow. All right, it's real simple to do. Like I told you before, we're going to go ahead and put up on the screen. You need to know what type of cam you have, either a medium cam or a single or hard cam. You also need to know your arrow's length, and you also need to know your bow's maximum poundage. Not the poundage that it's set at, but the maximum poundage that it's capable of shooting. That way, in case you have a 70-pound bow that's turned down to say 65, and one day you decide to crank it up because you built up the strength, and you're not going to have arrows that are underspined. Alright, so we're going to start with the poundage first here on the left. I shoot a single cam bow. We're going to go down to my poundage. We're going to select where my poundage falls in, and it's right here at the 67 to 72 pound range. Alright, so that's going to be our bracket right there, our column. Alright, now we're going to go back up and we're going to pick out what length arrows it is. Now my arrow's length is 1 inch in front of my arrow rest when it's at the full upright position at full draw. Okay, I'm shooting a 29 1/4 inch arrow, and this is where we want to be, 29, and that's good to 29 and a half. If you're shooting 29 3/4, you're going to have to jump over here to the other category, which at the top you see it says 29.5, and it's going to carry you to 30.5. All right, so we're going to go down in this column, back down here to where our poundage was at, and you're going to see an M. Okay, now over here to the right, you're going to see group G, H, I. You got J, K, L. We're going to go down here, and here's group M. All right, now in the group M, you can choose these different types of these abbreviations here. There's right to the right of these is kind of a breakdown of what those abbreviations are. I shoot the Beeman ICS Hunters, which is right here, and that's going to be ICHS/B, and that's the ICS Hunter, Elite, ICS Hunter, and Bow Hunter. Okay, those are all the same. And what I'm shooting the 340s, and that's exactly what I've got right here. As I'm shooting a 340 there, it tells you what the grains per inch is 9.3, and it also tells you what the arrow weight would be, and that's going to be your undressed weight, if you want to put it like that. Basically, an arrow that's built without fletchings, a wrap, or a tip, and that's 270 grains. You know, you add in your 100 grain tip, you're going to bring it up to 370 grains. You're going to start throwing in your fletchings and an arrow wrap. If you're using a lighted knock, all that's going to be determination on the poundage of the arrow. Now, right here to the left, something real quick. When you get to this chart, this is actually a breakdown on how to use the arrow chart. All right, now I know I told you that you need to know your arrow tip weight. Okay, some websites or some archery manufacturers don't require you to have your arrow tip weight, but it's always a good idea to go ahead and have that on hand in case the arrows that you're using, such as the Eastons, they're one of the arrow companies that do like you to have the tip, and that way you'll have it on hand. Well, as you can see, it's real simple picking out your arrows, and it's good to know that me shooting the 340s is exactly what I'm supposed to be shooting. Well, as you can see, I picked the right arrow for my setup, and if you follow the same guidelines that I showed you, you can for your setup also. Well, guys, I appreciate the questions, and I love the emails, so keep them coming. You can go to the homepage. It's over there. The link is askkenny@bowtuningtips.com. I'll be getting to you as soon as I can. The closer it gets to hunting season, the busier I get, and as soon as they say go on deer hunting, you know I'll be in the woods out there filming, trying to get some cool hunts to show you guys here on the website. Well, thanks for checking this week's video out. As you can see, I need to get a little practice in. Thanks, and stay tuned. I'll catch you guys next week.